What's up, guys? So I'm back with another video, and I decided that I might as well just start doing random commentary videos with like FIFA gameplay in the background. I don't know if you've seen those Call of Duty videos where they just talk about a random thing with COD gameplay in the background. But yes, I'm copying them and making it about FIFA. So this video is reasons why I think social media is ruining football. Because I joined football Twitter in like 2015. But this was a different football Twitter. This was back when it was just people that just cared about the sport. The average person on football Twitter was on there because they liked the sport enough to be getting constant updates about everything that happens in the sport. Football social media was the thing you were on if you actually passionately liked and actually loved the sport. And it was normal stuff. None of this nonsense Elon Musk X Twitter stuff with the constant engagement bait. After a match, go to the replies. 90% of the replies on that tweet from the official club's account would be from fans of the club. Not this engagement bait nonsense you see now, or this trolling. Don't get me wrong, football Twitter has always been toxic. I remember back in the day, I used to see some disgusting stuff like, Chelsea, like there was this really strange group of really strange Chelsea fans that would like be really vile to Chelsea during their 15-16 season, I think it was. They would like literally wish like death. I think one of them wished death on like Fabregas's wife's child that wasn't born yet, or something crazy like that. Mind you, I'm pretty sure they won the league the season before that, which just shows how just insane online football fans are. You have to win the league every season, or we will wish death on your unborn child. That's totally reasonable. But I feel like it's gotten worse in a different way now. There is like actual football discourse, like even in real life, is being ruined because of the internet. And I think people are just over-consuming football content, despite the fact that we all have enough football knowledge, surely, already at this point. Just constantly over-consuming. You have to know every little thing that goes on. So yeah, that's the first thing I'm going to complain about. People are just consuming so much football content. There's this guy on football Twitter called Fabrizio Romano. He's also on Instagram. He's basically like the biggest face of football transfer news. He knows about stuff super early, and he often breaks the news very early that a team is going to sign a player. People don't like this because they think it's ruining football and like, back in the good old days, we would find out about transfers organically. They always bring up that one video of Mesut Ozil on Sky Sports News. Wow, there's a random transfer. Like, first of all, that is not how most transfers happened. Most transfers weren't as secretive as the Mesut Ozil one. But yeah, basically they don't like that there's no more surprise element to transfers anymore. And they're completely blaming him. Like, dude, you guys are on football Twitter every day for hours, consuming as much football content as possible. The average person doesn't even probably know who Fabrizio Romano is. Maybe you're just too deep into this constant cycle of looking for football content, football news. People follow random Twitter accounts that claim to know about behind the scenes transfers called ITKs, which stands for in the know. The fact that most of these guys make up completely fake transfer rumors and still have a platform shows how desperate the average football fan is becoming with constantly having to know what's going on. You should see how much fake news flies around during a transfer window because people are so obsessed with having to know what's going on at every moment. Fabrizio is simply just capitalizing off of that. And he has done hard work in football to get to where he is. It's not like he's just some random guy that spawned in. Like, he has worked hard in the football industry behind the scenes to get to where he is. He's not just some, like, the modern football fan's so obsessed with constantly keeping up with what goes on. Like, you are the reason you're seeing this stuff. I remember back in the day, a random picture of Grealish with holding an Arsenal shirt dropped. This was before generative AI. It looked so real. And so if that was real and the transfer went through, that would have spoiled the transfer for so many people. But look, you're always on Twitter constantly trying to find out about transfers before they happen. If you see that picture and that Grealish transfer, if it happened in an alternate universe, got ruined for you, that's your fault. You have to follow as many transfer accounts as possible. You then get angry that these guys are spreading fake news. But why are you going to them for news in the first place? Maybe you'd enjoy transfers more these days if you didn't follow as many guys as possible. Also, other reliable guys in the industry like David Ornstein. He's another guy that breaks transfer news very early. He does the same thing. He's probably a bit more reliable than Fabrizio. But like, he doesn't get hate. Like, there's never been a world where you just don't find out about transfers at all until they happen. Then there's just a surprise press conference out of nowhere. Well, I've got a surprise for you. We've just signed Neymar. Like, no. That is not the norm. That never has been the norm. That's not even the worst part of overconsumption of football content, but I'll get onto that in the video. But yeah, probably one of my biggest problems with just modern society in general, whether it's music, whether it's football, whether it's gaming, I hate this so much. Nostalgia merchants, oh my days. I'm not even using a script, guys. I'm just written down the one word nostalgia. That just fires something in me. We are living in right now, obviously, probably the hardest era of football to play in. We've got deep blocks. The intensity is off the charts. We've never seen this sort of intensity in football before. We're seeing crazy things. Obviously, that's just how it works. This isn't to criticize the old generation of football, because obviously, as time goes on and you get advancements medically and scientifically, you're going to find ways to get better performance out of football players. If Pele was born now, he would obviously be better than the real life Pele was, probably. But I feel like we just constantly undermine and underrate how good modern footballers are. Football's falling off. And it's like, okay, first of all, there's so many things about this I could say. First of all, they say football has fallen off in the Premier League. And they use an example of, oh my gosh, the top teams are doing really bad this season. And it's like, no, it's just that the mid-table and the lower table teams are better now. They are harder to take points off. The thing is, they think if one team like Arsenal was running away with the league right now, that would make the league look better. No, stop disrespecting lower teams that aren't in the quote-unquote big six, which I hate that that's even a thing, to be honest. And understand, they are just better than they were in the past. I'm pretty sure whoever goes down this season, whoever finishes 18th, I'm pretty sure they're going to have a good chance of being like one of the best teams ever, points tally-wise. And obviously, yeah, to get relegated. And obviously, it's kind of difficult to compare points tallies between different seasons. That's not how football works. And it's funny because the top six in the Prem right now, bloody hell, even Spurs, who look like some people are saying they're going to get relegated, even they managed to qualify for the next stage of the Champions League. English teams are doing well right now. But it's Premier League's falling off. And they'll show you a clip from like early 2000s football where it looks like the ball literally is just ping-ponging between the two teams. And I'm not saying early 2000s football was bad, but like, there's definitely a lot of clips you could nitpick and be like, yeah, this wasn't good at all. Like, we've got Erling Haaland, who could potentially go on to be the greatest goal scorer of all time. And our generation just constantly shits on him. And it's like, yes, he can have bad games, but this is the problem with overconsumption of football. Players can't have bad games now without everyone, these absolute nerds on football Twitter. Don't get me wrong, guys. I was one of these guys too. I still sometimes live tweet matches, which I think is a bad thing. I'll get on that later in this video. He'll have one bad game where he doesn't score. Instantly, because the only thing that exists in football, apparently now, is what happened in the previous game. You'll have everyone saying he's overrated, he's mid. He goes on to score a hat-trick in the next game. No one says anything. He's normalized such a scarily unrealistic high standard of scoring goals that he can't even have a bad patch anymore. Do you think no footballer in the history of the game has had a bad patch? But if it was the older generation that had someone like Haaland, they would tell you he's the greatest striker to ever exist. They would never let you shut up about him. So many of the guys that will go down as some of the greatest players of all time get zero respect in current Premier League football. Mo Salah. Some of the guys I see get compared to this guy. He's probably the best right winger in the history of the Prem, honestly. Oh no, but his general play looks bad. His general play looks bad. He can't dribble like Messi. So many players in the past only scored in the box and did nothing outside of it. That isn't Salah, by the way. In fact, that's Haaland, if anything. People would praise them for it, for just being a striker that stays in the box and scores tons of goals. Now, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if he scored a ridiculously insane amount of goals like Salah. Didn't he score like 32 in his first season in the Prem? But no, you have to do that, but also get as many assists as Prem Ozil, but also have amazing general play like Messi, but also be able to go box to box like Prem Kante. But like, they want you to be able to do everything. Trent, literally, I hate that this word gets used so often. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is a generational player. To be able to influence football matches at that level and that consistency from right back is not normal. You know, when people are actually having serious discussions about how this guy should be moved to centre mid, how good he is. But oh, he can't defend. Let players excel at one thing. He is world class at going forward and attacking. And yes, I know the whole point of defenders is to defend. But like, I'm taking a Trent over a Wan-Bissaka. This guy is winning games single-handedly from right back, getting a ridiculous amount of assists along with Robertson. And you're telling me he's not good because he can't defend? Show me any other fullback in the history of the Premier League that could attack consistently at the same level as Trent. You know, it's funny, isn't it? Because like, he can't be the greatest right back of all time in the Prem because he can't defend. No one else could influence games and win games single-handedly from right back or left back like him. And yes, I do think that defending is probably more important than attacking as a fullback because you're literally a defender. But it's just funny how much it gets discredited. And I'm going to bring up another Liverpool player. Yeah, and I know I'm starting to sound like a Liverpool fan. People quite literally celebrated Virgil van Dijk getting dribbled past. Because I remember back in like, was it 2020, I think? So he didn't get dribbled past for like an entire season. And yes, I know statistics aren't always 100% like it's subjective sometimes. Someone might look at a specific interaction on the pitch and be like, he just got dribbled past. But the statistic doesn't count it. But the fact of the matter is, no one in the history of the game has ever had people celebrating them getting dribbled past. Because it doesn't happen. But whenever you bring this guy up in conversations with other all-time centre-backs, I wholeheartedly think he sits at... Virgil van Dijk, I wholeheartedly believe he sits at the same table as Ferdinand. I don't know why there's this sort of level of untouchableness where you can't ever compare a current player. Like you can't compare Alisson to Cech. Now I personally probably would take Cech over Alisson. But you bring up a comparison like that, Ferdinand versus VVD. I saw someone say Vidic. I saw someone say Virgil van Dijk can't chat to Vidic. Like, yes, he can. This guy's distributing the ball out from the back. Like flipping Xavi. Literally, people were scared to take him on. People were scared to even try and dribble past him at one point. He also wins games. Yeah, that pass he did against Bayern for Mane's goal. He scores headers, of course. He's a gladiator of a footballer. He's definitely one of the top, he's got to be like top 5 or something, centre-backs in the Prem of all time. But no, that exclusivity is only given to old players for some reason. Like what? You think these guys like Terry, Campbell, Ferdinand, Vidic, you think they were just invincible every week? They never made mistakes. And it's funny, people are always like, Terry had to play against Drogba, Henry, Michael Owen, all of this shit. And it's like, you can't compare eras like that. You can't cross-compare eras like that. Especially when we've got, Vardy, Haaland, Aubameyang, all of these types of guys that played in the Prem recently. But of course, they'll tell you that those strikers don't chat to the old strikers at all. As if we don't literally have a lab-grown Scandinavian striker running amok in the league right now. I don't understand why people act like current players can't be anywhere near as good as the old ones on social media. This generation just won't recognize greatness because they're blinded by football rivalries that ultimately do nothing for their lives. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Harry Kane wasn't world class. I saw a lot of Arsenal fans being like, I can finally admit Kane's world class now that he left. I laughed when I read that. But in all seriousness though, I don't think any serious Arsenal fan would tell you Kane wasn't world class, even if he still stayed at Spurs. Anyone saying he wasn't was a liar. He was arguably the best striker in the world. In fact, right now, he probably is. Sorry, Haaland, but yeah. Kane right now deserves that title, I think. But that's probably the top 2 in the world right now. But they'll tell you, he didn't win a trophy, so he can't be. Now, yes, I do think he does get away with some criticism, like when he skied that penalty against France in the Euros. Sorry, in the World Cup. I still can't believe he did that. Or the Croatia incident. But and that's the thing. A lot of these old strikers, none of these guys, in fact, ever won anything for England. But for some reason, they get put on this pedestal. You can't compare them. You can't compare current players to old ones. And speaking about Kane and how people said he can't be good because he didn't win a trophy. Trophy logic, no. But trophy logic is definitely the stupidest thing to ever exist in football. And I partially blame the British NBA fans for bringing the sort of obsessed... NBA fans have this ring culture, or NFL, or Brady's got 7 rings. Obviously, Brady is the GOAT, but I'm just saying. People act like you can't compare 2 players if one of them has more trophies. But football's a team sport. Another thing I hate about that, similar to that, is people will act like only certain trophies are important. And I think, and obviously I'm going to be biased here as an Arsenal fan, I think that culture of trophy logic was partially spurred on by people's hatred of Arsenal and, the whole, oh, they haven't won a European trophy thing, even though we quite literally have won the Cup Winners' Cup. Like, I saw a Tottenham fan literally try and say that Arsenal don't have any European trophies. I then told him that we've won a Cup Winners' Cup. Spurs literally were the first, I think, British team to win a European trophy. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because of the Cup Winners' Cup. Or was it English? I can't remember. Because Celtic won the European Cup. But yeah, Spurs were the first something, I think, English team to win a European trophy. Because of the Cup Winners' Cup. That Spurs fan didn't count it, the Cup Winners' Cup. You've literally taken away your club's own achievement just so you can say Arsenal don't have any European trophies. Like, it's gone too far now. Like, it's just disrespecting football. Because a lot of old football fans said the Cup Winners' Cup was the second biggest, actually, at the time. After the European Cup, aka Champions League. And then obviously people at the time, people won't tell you about this now, but back in the day on football Twitter, the disrespect the FA Cup would get FA Cup merchants. Arsenal can only win the FA Cup. That's the oldest trophy in club football you're talking about. Anyone should celebrate that. Okay, another thing. This is similar to live tweeting football matches. But the whole culture of live tweeting football matches has led to, like, everything being bigger than it is. Because everyone is reacting to stuff in the moment. It just gets amplified so much because there's nothing going on except that moment. So everything becomes bigger than it is. I remember when we drew 2-2 with Bayern Munich at home. We nearly won it at the end. Saka had a chance to go around Neuer. And Saka's a player that pretty much always stays up. I've seen him stay up instead of diving several times. But then he got taken out, sort of, by Neuer. He wanted a penalty, but the game ended there. The amount of hate he got on social media for this, people say, lots of rival fans saying, he tried to dive instead of taking the free goal. He got so much abuse for that. And it's like, that's just an exciting end to a football match. Any normal person would be like, wow, that really got me off my seat. I thought that was a penalty there, but it wasn't. What a way to end the game, 2-2. Very entertaining for the neutrals. But no, instead, Saka's getting insulted because people obviously had a pre-existing agenda against him. And so now, social media has made football fans literally tune into matches, just hoping a player plays badly and then celebrating it when it happens. It's just insane. Like, every single event that happens on the football pitch now gets a big reaction when not everything requires that. I remember when Saka dived. Sorry, he won a penalty against Madrid. For some strange reason, he tried to chip it down the left, I think. Or was it right? Courtois saved it. It was like a huge celebration on Twitter. And people were laughing at him. Oh, this idiot, why did he do a Panenka? He's not made for the big moments. He then scored a Panenka later in the match against Courtois and shushed him, which was very ironic that he ended up scoring from a chip. And then those people that were just saying he wasn't made for the big moments, he's a bottler, he's a big game bottler, they just vanished. Like, you could just abuse the hell out of a player you don't like because they didn't play well. And then when you get proven wrong, literally 30 minutes later, no consequence, no nothing. Like, you can just go on and then wait for the next moment to hate on him. It's just a never-ending cycle. And speaking of never-ending cycles, and people just moving on to the next moment to hate on players, I feel like social media has meant that big moments in football don't last anymore. Those moments people still talk about. Or United beat Arsenal 8-2. Arsenal lost 5-1. Or Liverpool lost 7-2 to Aston Villa. I still can't believe that happened. COVID football wasn't real, man. But yeah, because of this, moving on to the next moment, we don't get to savor things. When we beat City 5-1 at home, that was like, yay. But then obviously the pressure of the title race and just the nature of social media, constantly wanting something to react to. It's like, I don't want to, that meme that's like, I don't want to play with you anymore. Like people get enough reactions and memes out of a moment in football and just instantly move on to the next one. And it's kind of sad, like things don't last anymore because of that. Another thing I hate is I've seen people post pictures of themselves at football matches and then during the match, they're live tweeting it. And I think live tweeting matches is kind of silly anyway. Live tweeting anything, watching a movie, anything. And I do it myself, so I'm holding myself accountable here, but like, no one wants to be in the moment anymore. And it's why you see so many guys on Twitter arguing about whether or not a player played well. Because you're too busy on Twitter making jokes and memes about a player not playing well. But it's a completely different thing to be live tweeting matches at the match. Like, that is just so dystopian. Not to sound like one of those crazy people, but it says a lot about where we are as a society. People are live tweeting games. Like, imagine you score a late winner in the Champions League. Instead of going crazy, you whip out your phone, turn on capitals. Yes, we did it! Like, dude, just celebrate in the moment. Your phone's not going anywhere. Back to a previous point I made about how everything is bigger than it has to be now, because football fans just put so much importance on every moment that happens on the pitch. Like meaningless things, like the Saka Bayern thing I mentioned. Back in the day, no one would have cared. Now there's a million people calling him a diver. It's like, mate, you don't like Arsenal. You should be happy that he dived anyway. That he quote unquote dived. But another example of how people take things too far is when Miles Lewis Skelly did the Haaland celebration. Haaland himself probably liked that. And then people took it way too far and started acting like it was disrespectful from Haaland, from Miles Lewis Skelly. And let's not forget, Haaland is the one that threw the ball at Gabriel for no reason after City scored. Arsenal got clowned for that. We then beat City 5-1. Miles Lewis Skelly got his revenge. Because don't forget, Haaland said, "Who are you?" to MLS. MLS got his revenge. They're both grown men. They're both football players. They're not going to fight each other, you know. They got even in the end. End of story. But then Arsenal got clowned somehow for winning that game 5-1. Then everyone started acting as those, you know, the MLS Haaland thing was like much bigger than it was. Haaland even came out, I'm pretty sure, and said that he found it funny or something like that. And it just goes to show, like, people are just, like, putting parasocial hatred for players. Haaland doesn't hate MLS. MLS doesn't hate Haaland. But you're sort of inheriting the anger that you think Haaland is meant to have about that. And it's the same guys that will say they want rivalry back in the sport. Like, players should be allowed to clap back and have those moments. Everyone loved it when Vardy celebrated against West Brom and did that sort of, those antics. But then you've got guys like Vinicius Jr. getting racially abused on the pitch. With all due respect, you guys get disgusting and start insulting people over football opinions. And you're mad at a guy showing emotions after getting racially abused. Like, you guys can't control your emotions over a phone, talking to someone that, for all you know, could be a bot. That might not even be a real person. But this guy getting racially abused by thousands of people regularly, but he's not allowed to do a little dance after scoring. Like, you guys are the ones ruining football by just putting so much meaning into these meaningless things. Let things happen. Let football players be human. Another thing I think is really stupid, and again, I'm going to sound biased as an Arsenal fan, people want their rival clubs to win the title to spite Arsenal. Like, there's a whole world outside of Twitter where you'd have to put up with City fans laughing at you because, they're now the biggest team in Manchester. I mean, United are obviously bigger, but City are obviously more relevant than United. But you see guys on Twitter like, oh, I want Arsenal to lose the title to City again. I don't care that I'm a United fan. I hate Arsenal. It's like, you ask them why they hate Arsenal and they'll be like, oh, this annoying guy on Twitter called Well Beast, who has a blue tick and is literally tweeting annoying things to annoy you into giving him interactions and then money. Like, he's the reason you hate the club. You should hate Arsenal as a United fan. But more than City? And I think it just shows that social media football fans don't know their football history. Arsenal have 13 titles. We will obviously win the 14th title one day anyway, and it won't make much difference to our overall historical stature. However, a Champions League would make a huge difference. So clearly the lesser evil here is Arsenal winning the title over City winning it as a United fan. I just saw this Chelsea fan on Twitter say that he wants Europa League. So if it means that Arsenal don't win the title, he would trade Champions League for that, for Arsenal losing the title. It's just insane. And another thing, similar to what I've said before, I feel like everything has to be a debate now on football Twitter. Do any of you remember last summer, or that summer, the Euro summer, where Watkins scored against Netherlands? The entire summer, lots of England fans on social media spent it arguing about who's better out of Foden, Saka and Palmer. We made it all the way to the final. We nearly won the whole tournament. But some people's biggest memories of that isn't going to be the Watkins goal, isn't going to be the Saka equaliser against Switzerland, isn't going to be the Palmer equaliser. Honestly, it's going to be them arguing about whether or not Saka should play left back or whether or not Palmer should start. And I feel like people forget that online arguments don't translate to real life. It's so pointless arguing about anything online. Like, just the constant agendas. And going back to the Arsenal hate, I think it's definitely a case of like confirmation bias. People obviously, when they don't like something, will go out of their way to find more of that thing to justify their hatred for it. I'll give you a few Arsenal related examples. Every top six team, every big six team on Twitter in England has some annoying online fans that have blue ticks, which means you're monetized on Twitter, which means you are verified on Twitter. If you have a certain amount of verified followers, you can essentially get money for tweeting. They obviously tweet the craziest things to annoy rival fans. Like, an Arsenal fan will just tweet, haha, Spurs are so shit. And it's like, basically just playground football banter that is essentially harmless, but a bit cringe, I guess, sometimes. People will use that as their justification for hating Arsenal when every top six club has fans like that. But obviously, as I said, if they follow each other, the verified accounts, if you have like 500, I think, verified followers, you can make money from tweeting. So they all get verification ticks, they all follow each other, and they organize tweets, basically. They can all be in a group chat with each other, these engagement-baiting football fans, sending each other their tweets. Hey, retweet this, so more people see it. So more people see my annoying rage bait opinion, and I get more money from the interaction. Because people, for some reason, can't just ignore posts they don't like on the internet. They have to use it as a justification. Yes! Another annoying post from an online Arsenal fan. Yes. I don't want to see it. I could scroll past it. I could block the person. But yes, I'm going to follow them, in fact, so I can get more justification as to why I hate Arsenal. This is totally doing something productive for my life. And this is the funny part. I've literally once seen, or twice actually, I've seen an account post outrageous opinions that obviously no Arsenal fan with a brain would believe. I saw a post that said Saka is better than Bale. And obviously no Arsenal fan believes that. And that account, basically, it kept posting crazy opinions like that. Saka's better than Bale. David Raya is better than Neuer. Things like that. No Arsenal fan believes any of that. And this is the funny part. They would basically reply to that post on another account, pretending to be someone else, and be like, they would quote retweet it, actually. If you're on Twitter, you know what a quote retweet is. They would quote retweet the post saying, Arsenal fans are so deluded. And you know how I know they run both accounts, the same person, pretending to be an Arsenal fan, quote retweeting their own post so they can make money from it. When I clicked on the account that made the quote retweet, every single post on their account was quote retweeting posts from the Arsenal account. So they'd make a crazy statement about Arsenal. Arteta is better than Prime Pep. Okay, no, that's too obvious. Anyone that believes a real Arsenal fan thinks that deserves a slap on the face. That's a bit too obvious. But they'd make a stupid statement like, you know, like, Saka's better than Hazard. Or there's this statistic that Saka reached like a certain amount of goals and assists in the Premier League at a younger age than Ronaldo. That is a real stat. They would use that and be like, Saka's better than Ronaldo. Again, no Arsenal fan believes that, but the fact that they're using a real statistic makes it believable. So the account pretending to be an Arsenal fan would post that, then quote retweet it on their other account. When I clicked on the account, all I saw was them quote retweeting that account. Like, they were churning out blatantly exaggerated Arsenal statements. Just churning them out. And they were getting so much engagement from rival fans that thought that was a real Arsenal fan. And then people will be like, yeah, this is why Arsenal fans are hated. And it's like, dude, you're making yourself angry. I once heard like a story, not a real life story. It's meant to be like a parable type thing of a man that was riding a boat in a storm. He thought he saw another boat. He was getting angry at the other boat driver because he was getting close to his boat and about to crash. The two boats crashed. He started raging and swearing, then realized there was never actually another boat in the first place. That's what online football fans are like. You know that's not an Arsenal fan making that post. You know damn well that's not an Arsenal fan making that post. But you'll still interact with it and make yourself angry. Is it worth getting angry over someone that thinks Saka's better than Bale anyway? If that was a real Arsenal fan? No. Like, come on, guys. Like, there's just too much going on football Twitter now. Like, I feel like it's not about people that are obsessed with football being on the platform now. I feel like they're just bored and they just want something to do with their time. They don't care about the sport. They'll be the ones saying football has fallen off, but they spend all their time over-consuming football content anyway. And I'm going to end the video again with more Arsenal talk. So, yeah, we lost yesterday. Sorry, we drew. Every time Arsenal drop points, I think we lost. And I'm accidentally like, we lost yesterday. Even if it was a draw. I think that says a lot about how far we've come. But yeah, we dropped points and now we're only 4 points above. Now, honestly speaking, guys, I'm not scared. I still think we'll win the league. Purely because I think Arteta and the players, not only do they have title race experience, even though, yes, they've not won a single one, I think there gets a certain point as a human where you failed so many times that you just can't fail anymore. Like, I know the players are probably thinking to themselves, we can't let this shit happen again. The last time Arsenal finished second 3 times in a row, we won the league the year after. If we win the league this year, that would be a recreation. I refuse to believe the players and the manager are shameless enough to let that happen again, to let us finish second the 4th time in a row. I refuse to believe it. That's literally my reason. Also, I do think City will drop points again. I know the 2-1 win against Liverpool will give them confidence. And they won against Fulham, I think, yesterday. I don't know who it was. But honestly, I do think that they'll keep dropping points. So I do think we'll win the league. But yeah, every time we drop points now because we're a good team, we get fried. I'm seeing so much hate towards Saka on the timeline. Saka's had a bad season though, to be fair. This is definitely his worst season in his career. I think those injuries definitely made a difference, unfortunately. And him being slightly overplayed by Arteta. I'm pretty sure he's got the record for the most consecutive Arsenal appearances. And he's only like 24. Unfortunately, it was always going to have an impact. He just doesn't look explosive at all. Like, Madueke looks much more explosive now. But yeah, every time we drop points now, it's like an explosion on Twitter. Not just from rival fans, obviously, who obviously would want to see Arsenal fail more than anything in their life, but our own fans. And it reminds me of this post. I think I'll put it on the screen if I can find it. This is what I mean. From 2004, when we went invincible, but we failed to win the Champions League. We lost in the quarterfinals to an inferior Chelsea side on paper. And then Monaco, I think, ended up winning it. Sorry, Porto. And it just shows football fans have always been reactionary. They were hating on Henry, saying he's not a big game player. Like, it just shows. Like, football fans have always been like that. But what I miss about football forums, even though there was definitely crazy people on there, just like Twitter, you had to really love football to be on a forum. None of this engagement bait stuff that you can not give a shit about the sport and still make money from rage baiting people by tweeting Saka is better than Bale. Like, no, you had to actually love the sport. And you probably see less stupid opinions as a result. Although this probably isn't a good example. But it just shows meltdowns have always happened. But yeah, I do think Arsenal Fan TV is part of the reason Arsenal was so hated. Like, I don't know. They got like the most exaggerated Arsenal fans ever, but don't represent the average Arsenal fan. They provided entertainment for people when Arsenal were bad. And I don't know, like, now that we're good, but obviously we still haven't won the league since 2004, I guess people missed those meltdowns on AFTV. And I see AFTV get a lot of hate, like, but I feel like people need to realise you gave AFTV that platform and that popularity. Don't hate on them now. You gave them the popularity. But yeah, speaking of Henry in big games, I'm going to end the video with one last thing I hate about football Twitter. This is extremely niche though. This isn't even me crying about people not liking Arsenal. This is an extremely niche thing that I genuinely dislike about football Twitter and football discourse in general. So you know when people judge players based off how they play in big games? Oh yes, like for example in 18-19, Lacazette scored against the Big Six a lot of times for us. I don't know how I remember this, but he scored against Chelsea at home. He scored against... Did he score against United? Okay, I lied, I can't remember. He scored against Spurs in the North London derby that we won 4-2. 2nd of December 2018. The only reason I remember that is because it was close to my birthday. I'm not one of those crazy guys that can just remember dates. But yeah, most people describe being a big game player as how many goals he scores against the Big Six. And the reason I hate this is because Spurs right now are trash. Scoring against them isn't impressive at all. But if you do score against them, people will say it's a big game goal. Like, what I don't like is that people don't judge big games off of context. In current footballing context, honestly, Sunderland and Aston Villa are big games for any team. But because you don't respect them, you're going to be like, no, Big Six only. Spurs is a big game. You know? Like, actually, it should be based off the position of the teams in the table that season, not some arbitrary made-up Big Six. Like, if Spurs get relegated this season, you're not going to be like, all our players that scored against Spurs performed in big games. Well done. They're big game players because they scored against Spurs. Like, just because they're a Big Six team doesn't mean it should count as a big game. Unless you're a rival team, like Chelsea, West Ham, Millwall, or Arsenal. But similarly, in terms of context, if you need a win to win the league, that is a big game. Even if it's against the bottom in the league. Like, remember when City beat Aston Villa to win the league over Liverpool? That is a big game. Everyone that performed in that game is a big game player. But people won't count it as a big game. No, I see posts on Twitter. This is the list of players, and let's rank it by how many goals they scored in big games. That doesn't work because they only count the Big Six. You have to take into account the context. The guys that scored in that game for City, I think it was the KDB game, right? The game where KDB was insane. Let me search up actually. They were 2-0 down. Coutinho scored, I think. That is an insane storyline, Coutinho scoring. But yeah, I think it was KDB. Let me check it right now. Oh, it was Gundogan, yeah. Gundogan, Rodri. Yeah, everyone that performed in that game is a big game player. But it won't count to some people at the end of the season with those stats, those arbitrary stats. Because Aston Villa aren't a quote-unquote Big Six team. And that's stupid. Actually, let me add one more thing. Just a random football opinion at the end of this video. But everyone that likes to talk about how modern football isn't good, modern Premier League has fallen off, don't forget that not only are we witnessing potentially the greatest goal scorer of all time, Haaland, but City, we're literally witnessing the greatest Premier League team of all time, City. Pep City. They four-peated, they won a treble, they got 100 points. If you're going to disrespect this generation of football, remember what this generation of Premier League, remember what City have achieved, and remember Liverpool getting 98 points, or 97, I think it was. Like, those are two of the best Premier League teams we've ever seen in terms of entertainment, and obviously City in terms of achievement. So if you're going to disrespect this generation of the Premier League, like, you know, I guess just 20, like post-Leicester, post-Leicester City, I'm going to just remind you about what they've achieved so you put respect on them. And, yeah, like that City team's better than the treble winners of United. It's better than the Invincibles, and I'm an Arsenal fan, I don't care. It's better than the Chelsea team that hardly conceded any goals. Although it is kind of difficult because I'm counting several different seasons, aren't I? But let's say the Centurions team. That was my favourite one of the lot. The Centurions team was unreal. Ironically enough, a lot of people said their football was boring. But like, dude, that's what I mean about modern football fans. You can get 100 points for the first time in the history of the Prem, and people will tell you your football's boring. Like, this island is just the island of losers. Like, I think English people are losers, low-key. And I know that's ironic to say as an Arsenal fan when we haven't won the league since 2004. But come on. 100 points, dude. I don't give a fuck how boring it is. Same with the current criticism of the current Arsenal team. Although it does get to a point where if we start dropping points now and City are catching up, maybe we do need to start being more exciting.